I'm Chris Devon, and welcome to This Gay Life. Today we have a special guest with us. Actually, she's from out of town, so it's even better that way. Her name's Deb Price. She's a nationally syndicated columnist. I'd like to introduce you right now. Deb, why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself?
Well, in May of 1992, I started the first nationally syndicated column on gay and lesbian issues. It's syndicated through Gannett and the Los Angeles Times Syndicate. It's appeared in more than 40 papers across the country. A lot of places that you'd expect, like San Francisco and Key West, but in a lot of places you wouldn't expect, like Springfield is a town a lot of people don't expect. It's also appeared in Muskogee, Oklahoma, and Tulsa, Oklahoma, Guam, and it appears regularly in Nashville, so it appears in a lot of places that people really wouldn't expect a gay column to be. And I think that reflects a couple of things. One is editors looking for a way of dealing with gay issues. The column meets that, and for me it's particularly satisfying because those kinds of towns are a place where gay people themselves and their allies are probably less comfortable about talking about gay issues in a public forum like a newspaper. So the column really stirs things up and gets people talking and builds up their confidence so they can start being more involved in their own communities.
What got you started? I mean, did somebody come up to you and say, hey, why don't you write a column about gay issues?
No, really where the column started was my partner Joyce Murdoch and I were working at the Washington Post together, and about 10 years ago when we first got together, we started talking about what was wrong with mainstream journalism. And it was about then we started thinking in terms of columns and the fact that there's no gay perspective, there's no gay voice, that when gay issues are talked about, they're generally talked about from a point of view, first off from a point of view of a straight person, whether liberal or conservative, but then usually focusing on controversy or talking about gay people as victims. So we get a very, very one-dimensional portrait of gay life. Gay people as people with AIDS. Certainly some people do have AIDS, and that needs to be talked about. But that isn't all of gay life. Gay people being physically assaulted. That's an aspect that happens. It's something that needs to be talked about, but it's not all of gay life. Gay people being rejected from their homes, from their churches, from places of employment. That's something that does happen. It needs to be talked about, but that's not all of gay life. And so what I really wanted to do with this column was talk about a much different kind of gay life, a positive gay life, the experience of incredible people in our community, everyday heroes in our community who are doing fabulous things, bringing about change in their communities, in their places of worship, in their schools, in their homes, within their families. And so what I really do is cover gay issues in a way they've never been covered before in mainstream newspapers.
Well, in a way, it's almost, there is a certain amount of normalcy to it that almost makes it, I hate to say mundane in the sense that it's boring, but a sameness with everybody else. Do you get a lot of feedback on that?
Oh yeah, and it's really great for me. I mean, when I first proposed the column, which was now about 3.5 years ago, I really didn't want to be a gay David Broder. I didn't want to do a column that was just a gay, male, straight column, you know, that I was just going to add a gay perspective, but I was going to be either talking about Bosnia or talking about gay issues, but in sort of this fathers knows best sort of way. I didn't want to do that. What I really wanted to do was personalize, humanize gay issues. You know, most people in this country don't know anybody gay. From polling, we know that between 24 and 44% of people in this country say they know somebody openly gay. That means the majority of people in this country don't know somebody openly gay. And yet the majority of people, more than 90% of people, have an opinion on everything we do, whether we're immoral, whether or not we should teach school, run for president, be in the military. Where are they going to be getting those kinds of where do they make those kinds of decisions? They make them from the kind of cultural baggage that they've been picking up just living in this country. So it's really important from my perspective to humanize gay issues, to make us real people, to show what we're like. And so from the very, very beginning, I included Joyce, my partner of 10 years, in the column. And I've tried to show people through Joyce and through our relationship, what it's like just to be a gay couple trying to live openly and honestly the kinds of experiences we have, both positive and negative. And just, it's been remarkable to see how many gay people have written and said that we're the first gay couple that they've ever known. You know, well, you may laugh, but I mean, it's something that people are very, very isolated, very, very alone. I mean, I can remember when I was gay in college, I was so totally alone, so totally isolated, and I would have been terrified. I was closeted even to gay friends, if you can believe it, in college. So I really identify with people who write me and say, please don't use my name, or people who write me and say, I'm sorry, I can't even trust you with my name. I really feel for people like that, and I'm so grateful that I have this opportunity to be able to reach out to people and for people to feel like somebody is on their side. And in the same way, for straight people, if that few straight people know anybody openly gay, think how few straight people know a gay couple. No wonder the whole idea of gay family seems so difficult to a straight person. So for a straight person who's trying to understand who we are, why do gay people want to get married? Well, you know, if you have never ever experienced a gay couple, you know, if you don't know a gay couple, that's probably is kind of a strange concept, a concept that's difficult to understand. But if you read my column, you really come to understand and identify with a gay couple. And that's really an important experience. I've gotten a lot of mail from religious women who are very, very sincerely struggling with the issue of homosexuality and their religious faith. And I respect people for doing that. This is not easy. I don't expect overnight conversion. And I'm grateful when people read my column and write me and ask sincere questions and follow the column. And I have people who write and say, you know, I remember one letter in particular that was particularly touching to me, where this woman had written, and she said she reads the column every week, and she said, today I felt the love that you feel for your partner. And it was obviously a spiritual moment for this woman. She felt something she'd never felt before, which was that two gay people could love as she could love. And it was a startling moment for her, an incredible thing. And that's really the experience of this column, these kinds of magnificent transformations that happen both in gay people and straight people who've never before had the opportunity to read in their daily newspaper about life from a gay perspective.
Well, even with little epiphanies going on in the straight community, especially in our community, it's kind of a smaller community, what people would consider rather conservative. What kind of mail do you get back from, say, a conservative community like ours versus something like, I don't know, Key West or, say, San Francisco?
Well, in a place like Springfield, it's interesting. The experience of the column is usually the same in every town, whether it's Minneapolis or Springfield. I mean, which is that the columns, I always look at the newspaper as a family, and the column serves the role of a person coming out. And when a person comes out in a family, just like when a column comes out in a newspaper, there's a whole range of emotion. Some people say, I'll never speak to you again, that's it, you're disowned. And that's the person who threatens to cancel their subscription or even does. Then there's this big group, this movable middle, this is the part I love, the movable middle. Those folks, they're like, well, this is my newspaper, you're part of my family, I'm going to try to understand this issue. And then the other people who, of course, are overjoyed and love you just as you were. And the column really does play that role. So that happens pretty much in every single newspaper community that starts the column. Initially, there's a huge uproar. You see it on the editorial page, on the letters to the editor. And usually what starts off is the anti-gay people start writing in. And then suddenly people realize, hey, wait a minute. This is a column I want to read, and if I want to read it, I'm going to have to stand up for it. And this is a wonderful part of the column, is how many people have understood this is not Deb Price's column. This is our column. This is not something that belongs to me exclusively, that's just something that that is one person's. I mean, this is something that belongs to everybody, and people have fought for this column, have come out because of this column, have taken enormous amounts of risks because of the column. And I'm very, very grateful that people have seized it, have seen that it's not mine, that it is everybody's. And that includes straight people who are working for our civil rights, as well as gay people.
There's an interesting thing. I've seen a lot of people use your column as kind of an intro to coming out. It's like they'll clip out the column and they'll send it to mom or dad and follow it up with a letter or a call and say, "Did you get the column?" And then come out from there. Do you hear a lot about that happening?
Yeah, and it's really rewarding to me, because I think of anything that I'd hoped for the column to accomplish was that it would heal splintered families, and it has done that, and I am so grateful for that. Gay people are no different than anybody else. They want their parents to love them. They want to be close to their siblings. And so often the gay issue becomes so explosive within a family, and it becomes something where, people suddenly feel like they have nothing in common. And I've been so grateful that the column has become a way of healing families, that parents read the column to their adult children over the telephone. They clip it, they send it, they talk about it. This is wonderful. It's a wonderful thing that's happened to see. I get letters from gay people. They say, my mother would never even say the word lesbian. Now she writes to me about lesbian issues. Very often parents, when their kids come out, they think, "Oh my God, this means you're going to get AIDS, somebody's going to beat you up, you're going to lose your job." It's a reaction of protectiveness, a natural reaction of parents wanting to take care of their children. One thing that the column does is try to give a different perspective, that isn't the only thing that happens if you're gay, and for many of us it never happens. My family loves me, I haven't lost my job, and no one has hurt me physically because of this column. That's an important message to send. So many people are so intimidated by hatred and intolerance. We have to stand up to it. It takes so little to intimidate most of us, and that's understandable, but we've got to learn to be able to stand up. One of the things I've learned from the column, and one of the most important things I have learned from this column, is that 20% of the people in this country hate everybody. and it's true. There's a general social survey that's done every year, and one of the questions they ask is about interracial marriage. 20% of white people in this country think interracial marriage should be illegal. Not that they wouldn't marry somebody of a different race, but they think it should be illegal. Now, what I've found in my mail is that 20% of people in this country is incredibly vocal, and the news media tends to portray them as extremely hostile on gay issues, but not other issues. Well, I can tell you from my mail that people start off on the gay issue, they move to people with AIDS, they move to Jews, they move to blacks, they move to working women. They hate everybody. And as a matter of fact, in our upcoming book, which will be out in June, and Say Hi to Joyce, America's first gay column, comes out, one of the titles of a chapter about our letters is called "Why Angry Men Can't Spell." And one of the things that you know when you get a piece of mail is if it's written in crayon, pencil, comes from Normalsville, and is written to Mr. Deb Price, then in all likelihood it's one of those people who's 20% of the people who hate everybody.
Mr. Deb Price.
Well, actually, there's another one I get, Mr. Lesbian Price. I get that one a lot too.
Such a Christian name, I don't know. Sorry, I had to throw that in. You're coming out with a book, and first of all, you say that it's running in a lot of cities, your column. How many different cities is it running in? Do you know how many?
Well, it can vary from week to week, because through Gannett it can run in any of Gannett's 80 papers. So it runs, in approximately about 40 papers a week, which is, it's just incredible when you think there are 1,500 dailies in this country. During the gays and the military debate, that means that only about 3% of the papers in this country had an openly gay voice. Here was a major civil rights battle where gay people didn't even have a voice on something that was affecting them. So again, that's the sort of incredible need for this column, just to have a voice, a perspective. And it's interesting because I always say that what distinguishes my column from other columns is that 95% of my column is fact, and that 5% is opinion, and my opinion is usually discrimination against gay people is wrong. And everybody knows that part. And so, you know, most of what I'm trying to get out is not opinion, it's fact, you know. And when people say things like, an editor will say, well, let's balance that Deb Price column, I'm sort of wondering, what are you going to balance facts with?
Yeah. I don't know, let's throw in a little fiction here or something, I don't know.
Well, that happens a lot in news stories, you know, I mean, why not columns?
What's the funniest place you know that your column is run?
Oh, the funniest place that the column ever ran was in the Tulsa World on the bridal page.
I don't know, I think that's an appropriate place, you know, considering.
Yeah, actually, it was about lesbian twins. It was an unusual placement for it, but you know, it runs in all kinds of places, and you know, as far as I'm concerned, wherever anybody will run it is great, because what really matters is that the column gets in the paper and that people get an opportunity to see information that they normally don't have an opportunity to see, because the column does change people. I have gotten countless letters from people who have said, you know, before I felt this way, because of reading your column, I've changed my view. Matter of fact, a letter from Springfield was an interesting letter where a man had planned on canceling a subscription to the Springfield News-Leader over the column, and then he said because he'd read in the Deb Price column that Barry Goldwater supported gay rights, he thought he ought to relook at the issue himself. You know, and that's what you're talking about, is getting people to the point where they'll take an emotional issue that they haven't thought through, like homosexuality, and start thinking about it, giving them some information to confront their fears. And it takes time, and you have to give people time. You know, I mean, I think a lot of times we as gay people want everything to change overnight, and Lord knows it'd be wonderful, but it's not going to happen. But you know how long it takes us to accept ourselves? We have to walk through a tremendous amount of internal homophobia, and you have to give other people time to do that too. I hope if anybody is in the process of trying to come out, please write me a letter. I have written a column specifically about coming out to your parents, and I think it's a really good column that kind of talks about some of these issues of the difficulties that parents have and how you can help them through it, because so often people who come out want the other person to be helping them, and that's not what you need to be. You need to be there as an ally for your parent when your parents when you start coming out.
In the book that you have coming out, have you got like a tour plan for that, or?
Right, we're going to be going to, at this point, 14 different cities. It comes out in June. We're really excited about it. It's going to include the first 20 months of the column, and then it will also, my partner Joyce has written a narrative, and she's essentially told the story of how the column came about, how it affected us, how people have used the column in their own lives and their communities, how it's transformed newspaper communities. It tells a lot of stories about wonderful gay people who have taken personal risks because of the column, as well as straight people.
One of the interesting things that happened just recently in our newspaper is there was a big stink about somebody brought up the idea that they didn't want a gay column in their Sunday paper, which was kind of funny because they didn't want it in. Does this mean it doesn't matter if it's in Monday or Tuesday but not your Sunday paper? And then there's a lot of letters. And then just recently it was brought up again about an article that we wrote about a lesbian couple, and it didn't even mention the fact that there was a weekly column about gay and lesbian issues. So it just kind of like slid right over the top of it. And I kind of wonder, did they look through their entire paper? Or when you get people writing you things about angry stuff, you mentioned something about angry letters, and when we were talking earlier, you said something about putting two different letters together, and that it may seem it was more on the order of that they were angry at you for being a woman more than being gay.
Well, it's a combination. I mean, I think a lot of men are very, very threatened by women, and they're very, very threatened by, you know, assertive women. And so the fact that I'm gay is, you know, is something they can hone in on. But I think it's just as upsetting to a lot of men that a woman is you know, has a column. And there are very, very few nationally syndicated women columnists. So, you know, that's true. But you know, it's funny. I mean, people always focus on hate mail. I mean, you know, you wouldn't believe how many interviews I do where the first question is, tell me about your hate mail. Tell me about the worst letter you got. Tell me, you know, how do you stand all this hatred? And You know, I mean, the thing is when it first started, I was just an everyday, journalist. I'd never been interviewed. I'd never gotten hate mail. I'd never had any of that stuff. And it was very, very hard, And one of the things Joyce did was she took over sorting the mail, reading the mail. And I didn't read hate mail. I mean, for a long time, I don't really read a lot of it now, frankly, because it's kind of predictable. And I've got so much to do, in addition to which I've got, it takes a lot of time just to read the positive mail.
Yeah.
But, it really has been an incredible experience to get mail from all over the country and see people, everyday people, whether gay or straight, really working through this issue. And to think that this is happening in newspapers. I mean, here we hear people say newspapers are dead. What an incredible thing. People will say, well, we better not run that gay column because people might get mad. Lord, somebody might read a newspaper, I mean, it's great. And that's another thing, people often say, oh, well, I couldn't run this column because, everybody canceled the column. And 2 newspapers actually tracked circulation cancellations over the column, the Detroit News and the Minneapolis Star-Tribune. And in both cases, cancellations over my column were less than 1%. Less than 1%. Neither paper tracked how many people started taking the paper because of the column, and I can tell you it's a lot, nor did they go back and find out how many of those people later on started taking the paper again. So these are kinds of experiences that Joyce talks about in the book, and the book is a very, very upbeat book in the way that the column is, and I think it's going to be a really exciting book for both gay-friendly and gay people in that there aren't a lot of gay books out there that have an upbeat, positive message, and there need to be more. We are going through an incredible, incredible period of history right now. Things are changing so dramatically, and it's so easy to get caught up in the backlash, in the Newt Gingrich, quote, hateful comment of the day, and forget about the wonderful, wonderful things that are happening. For example, it's so easy to get upset about something like somebody criticizing the News-Leader for running the column on Sunday, and I'm very grateful they run it on Sunday. I'd be grateful for any day they run it, but I'm very grateful that they run it on Sunday. And for one reason, more people read it. But for another reason, again, this whole issue of the news media depicting gay people as anti-religious and religious people as anti-gay, this has been one of the most devastating things that has happened in the entire coverage of the gay civil rights movement. So many gay people are very, very religious, and some of our very most ardent supporters are religious heterosexuals. Now this has to be written about more. It's something I write about, I want to write about more. This is what I call the religious left. We hear so much about the religious right. Let's start talking about the religious left. And when we talk about people coming out, we so often talk about people coming out to mom and dad. Have you come out in your place of worship? This is something that is something that all of us need to think about. It's not just coming out to mom and dad, to your brother and your sister, to your best friend. And make sure you do come out to dad, by the way, because there's a huge difference in the opinions on gay issues between women and men. There's a huge difference, with women being much more supportive than men. And I think that's because people tend to come out to women instead of men. So do come out to dad. But we really need to make sure that we have a very, very visible presence in churches, in synagogues, in mosques, because people who deal with gay people who know gay people, like gay people. There's a wonderful study that was done that I like to cite to back that statement up. It was a survey of Anchorage, Alaska employers in 1988. And what they were asked was, would you fire somebody if you knew that they were gay, or if you thought they were gay? 40% of employers who said they didn't know anyone gay said they would fire a worker for being gay. Now, of the employers who knew somebody gay, only 5%, 40% to 5%. Now, if you want to know the single most important thing you can do for the gay rights movement is come out. That survey tells you that, because people who know gay people like gay people. And you're seeing a revolution in every single religious denomination in this country, and you're seeing that because people are coming out. And it's really, really important to put a human face on homosexuality, because as long as there isn't a human face, people will be able to hate and be able to be bogged down in misunderstanding and fear. And so much of it isn't hate. You know, so much of it is not hate. It's just misunderstanding and fear.
Or not even knowing.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. When you get a picture in your head of something that you have no idea, it can expand into anything. That's why, it's very important for us to be visible. We have a few minutes left. You want to tell us a little bit about when the book is coming out and where
The
we
book
can
will
get
be
it
out in
available?
June. You should be able to get it from your local bookstore, and if it's not available, just ask them, they'll order it. It's going to be published by Doubleday. Again, the title is And Say Hi to Joyce. America's first gay column comes out. The title of the book comes from how many letters we get that end P.S. and say hi to Joyce, which was wonderful for us, because we knew that we were succeeding exactly what we wanted to do, because people were seeing us as human beings. And one of the most wonderful letters we've ever gotten, it was after we'd been together for 8 years. Our first ever anniversary card came from a straight woman.
That's great. Of things that you would like to accomplish with your book, we've got just a few minutes left. What are some of the top things you think that you can accomplish with this, or you would like to?
I think with the book, one of the things that the book will do is it'll give people who've never had an opportunity to read the column a chance to do that, to see what it would have been like to have had a weekly column like this. It's really wonderful that people in Springfield have had this. A lot of people haven't, and so I'm really excited to be able to share the column. The story is remarkable. This is a great moment in history, and we're just so excited to be able to share it. So much of gay history is lost. I mean, this was an incredible story. How did the thing start? You know, so many people think my publisher must be gay. He's not. He also belongs to a widely stigmatized group, straight white men. You know, this just was an incredible experience for us as a couple, and so we really, really wanted to share the story. So we hope that what the book will do is show some of the positive things about being out and about trying to accomplish something good by seizing something. I mean, this is the most incredible gift of my life. I've seized it, and I have tried to make it the most precious gift I've ever been given, and tried to accomplish something with it, and I think I've done that.
That's great. That's great. Well, once again, I'd like to thank you for being on the show. It's really great to have you in town, and you are going to be speaking, although this is pre-taped, so you won't be able to go back and and see it. But if anybody would like to get a hold of you, where do they get a hold of you at?
Well, if you write the Springfield News-Leader, they will send me a letter, and so it'll be forwarded to me, and I certainly hope that people will comment on the book. I'm real excited to share the story, and I'd like to hear what people have to say. It does talk about Springfield also.
Great. Well, thanks for joining us, and thank you for joining us here on This Gay Life.